Hey, what is happening, everybody? I am Pruitt, and this is Everyday People Doing Everyday Shit on whatever podcast app you use and enjoy. Thank y'all for being here. Recording solo tonight and a little bit later because why? I had no idea when we was going to get this done. She recommended recording later on tonight or later on tomorrow night. I don't know. I just wasn't, as far as my end of the bargain with the post-production and stuff, I just didn't see it being beneficial for the folks listening or with my time too, to make sure I get it out in a timely manner, if you will. So I'm doing a quick show tonight, solo this time around. Maybe next week will be a little bit easier. So if you're watching live right now inside of YouTube, thank you for being here on impromptu, because you didn't have it regularly scheduled, I know, and I see in the live chat right now, looks like Miss Pam is here. My live chat didn't show up there, but I can fix that. But I see Miss Pam is in the house. Thank you for being here, Miss Pam. She says, hope you had a blessed day. And yes, ma'am, I believe that I did because I'm still sitting here standing and sitting in this chair on these mics doing what I love to do. So, Miss Pam, thank you for being here in the live chat. For anybody else watching live, please go ahead and hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons right now inside of YouTube. That really does help us out. Goes a long way. I see Mr. Clarence is in here too. Let me fix this here live chat. For some reason, I think I know why it's not showing up on my broadcast, but I can fix that just here in a half a second. So if you allow me to pop into my menus real quick and change that there, hit apply, hit close. Now if I hit live chat, boom, there it is. Amazing how that stuff works, right? Good old tech. See, Clarence is in here. Thank you, Mr. Clarence. Appreciate you being here. All right. So without further ado, like I said, this will probably be a shorter show because I'm by myself. What has happened this week? Well, first thing that's happened is I changed my lighting. I got a key light sitting right on top of me, about like a beauty dish, which is not my favorite type of lighting, but it is a little bit more beneficial for some of these auditions that I've been doing. I've had to do some reads, if you will, and sometimes they want to see those reads on video. Not sure why, but I've done some reads and done some other auditions for some commercials that are being pitched out there. And the lighting definitely makes a difference. And I usually end up taking my glasses off too, because even with my glasses on, even with my glasses on and this light move, there's still a little bit of glare there. But having that light set up as a beauty dish definitely seems to be a little bit more appealing, in my opinion. It's not my favorite, but I know that's what most people like. So that's what we're going with right now. So we changed that lighting. Her camera is still the same. Her camera's not turned on right now. The studio camera is not turned on right now since no one is here. It's just me and the daggum dog. Well, the dog was over there. Biscuit, where'd you take off to? He was sitting there with his bone. Yeah, so that was the first thing. I changed that up. Still got my backdrop back behind me to do those recordings and so forth, and that's working out quite well. Even using the webcam works really well too. So pretty much got all of that dialed in, and I went through getting all of that dialed in because my Adobe software decided to take a shit when it updated earlier in the week and absolutely just broke everything. Nothing was working. Last week when I went to get the show out the door for everybody that watches the video version of it, I couldn't. I ended up having to revert to DaVinci Resolve. And if you watch the video, you'll notice that there's some slight differences in it. The quality is still fine, but there's just some polish that I normally put in there from a video standpoint that's just not there because I have all of that stuff pre-built inside of Premiere Pro, but Premiere Pro wasn't working. And so I just had to punt and do what I had to do. But now they got me squared away. They spent about a day and a half with me doing remote support and logging into the machine and just reinstalling stuff, and it's finally up and running now. But that still means I still have to tweak some things later on as I find them. But that's out of the way, and hopefully we sound good right now on this here live stream without a problem. Tomorrow I have a shoot as of the recording right now on Wednesday, but I have a small shoot tomorrow, Thursday, and it'll be in the city. It's under NDA, but it is for someone in tech. That's about all I can say. And it'll be a small photo shoot. There's no videos. It's just me posing as somebody. I've talked about it a little bit inside of the Patreon community. So if you haven't joined the Patreon community, why not jump on in there and be a part of our extended family and join the conversation. It is patreon.com/Aunt Pruitt if you're interested. And I talked about it briefly in there. Probably will only take me maybe 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. And I'm fine with that because that's a short day when it comes to those types of shoots. So instead of it being 8 hours and beyond, and sometimes they do last longer than that, but this is scheduled to be pretty short, and I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, it's just a little bit of a hiccup because I still don't have my car. I'm having to drive another car here in the family, be it her car or be it hardhead car, which is still my car. So it was a little bit of a hitch when it comes to that. Hopefully I'll get my car back next week after I get a few more dollars into the bank account to pay for the repairs. But I'm thinking I'll get it next week. And unfortunately, the dealer is cool with that. Well, not the dealer, the mechanic. He's cool with that. But with that said, let me tell you this. So, do I have it over here on my desk? I think I do. Yeah, so here on my desk, I got a piece of mail and you can see that's a BMW logo. Got a piece of mail, and it's about an important safety recall. And son of a mother, it is regarding an electrical connector on the water pump. Guess what I had fixed on my car? Freaking water pump. So I got to pay for it, but I may be able to get it reimbursed after I pay for it and take it to a BMW dealership instead of the actual mechanic that I deal with. So we'll see how that goes. It sort of pisses me off that this happened like right now, and would have saved me a lot of money in repairs. But we'll see. We'll go from there after I get that done. So that's next week. In addition to, I have travel coming up for NAB next week too. So I'll get all of that stuff done. Next week's going to be busy, but I don't think it's going to screw up production for the show. I don't think so. We'll see. Haven't really spoken to her about it yet, so I don't know. It's funny, when you look at the family dynamic, we have our calendars, and I manage my own calendar. But it has now turned into making sure that she sees what's going on with my calendar, and she lets me know what's going on with her calendar, because there's things that's happening as far as just regular freaking doctor's appointments or things like that, or like what's going on right now. She's not here because she's at the JC doing her piece with the makeup artist stuff for a production that's coming up this weekend. So I have to manage that stuff. She has to manage that stuff. Oh, and then you throw in the aspect of the Plantastic Potheads that she's been working on. So managing that calendar, because you find folks out there in the world of Patreon, as well as the folks that just listen to the show out there in these internets, you all have sent in orders. So you just send your orders to podcast@antpruitt.com. And I've been handling those things that way. And it's really, really nice to see that she's busy with that, and she's having fun going through those creations and trying to figure out what works best for the people and their requests. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what's going on with tomorrow and the next couple of days. So first, I'm going to take a quick break. First, to acknowledge the folks in Patreon. So this is the first of the month. It's not an April Fool's Day, but it's the first of the month. And I always like to make sure to shout out our Patreon members. We did gain like 2 members this month. So thank you to the fine folks. So let's see. There it is. The list grew. We got about 2 more people. We're showing them all on the screen there, including one of them. If you look on the bottom right, it says anonymous because they didn't want to be recognized. They made that clear to me that they want to contribute, but they didn't want their name publicized. And so anonymous you are. Thank you so much for your patronage and joining the extended family. And again, you can join the extended family by going to patreon.com/Aunt Pruitt and join for free if you want. But we also have 2 paid tiers, including an economically conscious tier. So thank you to all of you Patreon members there. Now, with that said, I am going to pause for a quick commercial break. So y'all stay right there. We'll be right back after this. And we're back. Everyday people doing everyday shit. I am Aunt Pruitt hanging out here on this mic solo tonight without Queen Pruitt on whatever podcast application you enjoy. Thank y'all for being here and hanging out with us live inside of YouTube on the live stream. If you're here, feel free to say something in the chat because I am monitoring and watching the chat. Now, let's go ahead and get into some stuff that I've had in my show prep queue for she and I to discuss, and there's still a bunch of other things in there, but I figured I could go over this one bit of things, these couple of things solo with you. So let me see if I can get to that screen. And if I hit this button here, it should show you my desktop. And looks like it is. All right, so here's my desktop. This comes from awfulannouncing.com. And all of my nerdy IT folks will probably remember this, but I wanted to share this because this is from awfulannouncing.com. And it says 20 years ago today, not necessarily today, but 20 years ago, boom went the dynamite is the title. And this is a meme, and it makes me laugh to think that this is 20 years old. Holy shit. And I appreciate it showing up in my news feed because at the time I was doing teleprompter work and practicing and reading these scripts and stuff. And it was just perfect timing. This is from Ball State University 20 years ago. Brian Collins, as it says here on the site, Ball State freshman Brian Collins volunteered to anchor Newslink at 9. And it was so damn funny watching this. And I laugh because I could see how this stuff trips people up because teleprompter stuff is not as easy as one may think it is. I'm going to click on it here and see if you can hear
Indiana Pacers are looking for a measure of revenge tonight against the New Jersey Nets and to strengthen their playoff hopes. The Nets won the last Sunday's matchup 94-85, which left the Pacers 1 game behind the Chicago.
So he fills in
the
on the sports show,
spot.
and he's trying to read the sports,
Let's check out the highlights.
Sports notes in the teleprompter, as well as watch the highlights. And you notice it's
Steven
quiet.
Jackson's David.
You can't keep up with watching the video.
Reggie Miller's looking good. He shoots a 3, and it's good.
So, again, I've talked about this with Queen Pruitt over there in that seat.
Later,
that
he gets the rebound, passes it to the man,
good.
shoots it, and boom goes the dynamite.
He's totally
the final scores ended up
picking it
with the Pacers 63 to the Nets 61.
And that was just a short piece of it because it went on for a good, 3 or 4 minutes of holy crap, what have I gotten myself into kind of energy. But yeah, that was, what's his name? Brian Collins at Ball State. I don't know where he is now. That's probably something I could have looked up, but I wonder where he is now and if he decided to further his career after that happened. It was funny to see it. I'll see if I can get the full version of it and put it in the show notes. But I thought that shit was hilarious back then, and it still makes me laugh now because been there, done that. It ain't as easy as people think it is to do a teleprompter because a lot of times you don't necessarily have control of the teleprompter. It's just in front of you, and there's a person that's like a spotter that's watching you go through to read and watching the script and scrolling the script for you based on how you are reading said script. So every now and then they'll pause, and then because computers are involved, sometimes it's going to be a glitch. That script will jump ahead too far for whatever reason, or that script just won't scroll, or that script will just go away at random. It happens, but this is, at least with me, I'm in a controlled environment. Yeah, this is a live stream, but I could stop and jump back in and do whatever I need to do and fix all of that stuff in post. That's not necessarily the case for a news broadcast that's going out to live television, so it's a pretty funny story. Classic 20 years ago. Just, wow, it's been 20 years. I'm getting older. Holy crap. But yeah, that was on Awful Announcements, awfulannouncing.com. I'll link to that in the show notes, as well as try to link to the actual full video. Another thing that I was talking about inside of Patreon with the family was, the extended family, was I was watching on Amazon this thing here called, what is it? I Am the Blues. And man, I got to tell you, I appreciate that Amazon recommended this to me, because I like blues as far as the music goes, and being able to watch this featuring, I believe it was Mr. Bobby Ross and a couple other folks in the blues history. Just go back into the South. They were in where were they? They were in Mississippi and I want to say Louisiana. And just going through, this is very, very raw. It is not the prettiest of film or anything like that, but it's a nice little documentary. And what I remember watching it was thinking, man, I miss hearing the accents on here. I don't know if I can play it without getting a strike. Let me see. I'll probably get a strike. So I just turn that down a little bit. Close that window.
I wouldn't mind having that thing.
And just look at it. I mean, this is deep South Mississippi.
Around the street there years ago. Around the corner there. Tudweiler, Mississippi.
Tutwiler. And fast forward.
I was way away from him. I played with Just Made Hip Hill a lot. I was Just Made drummer back then. Hey, I try to do what I can. You know what I'm saying?
Driving down the road, drinking on a can of Bud Light.
And time y'all come out through here, this where we party. Right down to the trailer park. Everybody around through here, we know each other.
I love
all
it.
let's get along.
It's so damn raw. It's so damn raw. And, again, I'm from upstate South Kakalaki. And I've seen a lot of scenes like this, just folks out in the country doing whatever the hell they want to do because they're out in the country. Who's going to tell them what to do? The police? The police ain't coming out there. And when they come out there, it's going to take a while for them to get out there, Yeah, that was fun to watch because it made me think about my grandfather and his love for the blues, and his love for the blues, it trickled over to his brother, my uncle, my great uncle. His name is Mac Arnold. And I've spoken about him, I don't know, a time or three, because he ended up being a really, really great blues artist and like touring around the world, legit blues artist, not just some hobbyist. And I don't know if he made it into like a Hall of Fame, anything like that. I think he did get like some honorary doctorates from the University of South Carolina and a couple other local accolades, but he had a very nice career. And right now he's in I think Uncle Mac might be in his 80s, I think. And as far as I know, he's still kicking. But his story, Uncle Mac's story was funny because his guitar was not necessarily a conventional guitar. And let me see. Let me fix my screen here. So if I hit escape here, I did a blog post on this joint. Yeah. Whew. This is 2014 when I did this blog post. So let me pull that screen up again. And I did this February 6, 2014, titled How It All Began on my blog. And if I could zoom in on that picture, this is a picture of my Uncle Mac. Okay, will it zoom in? Let's see. That's my Uncle Mac. All right. And this is the guitar that he plays. You know, and he's got some other conventional guitars, but this is, I don't think this is the original one. This might be like version 2, maybe version 3, but this is a gas can, an old school gas can that has been turned into a guitar. And you can see it's got the electric pickups and everything. I don't know if you're seeing that on the screen, but it's got the electric pickups and everything, so you can plug it into an amp. And that's what he made his career on. His professional blues artist career was done with that device right there. And he spent time touring the world with the likes of Muddy Waters and all these other blues greats. And he was legit. So, but I did this blog post, and it was a tribute to not only to Uncle Mac, but also to my granddaddy, his brother. And as I wrote in this post, you know, my granddaddy is someone that I had just the utmost respect for. Yeah, and I see the live chat is chiming in. That's awesome. Thank y'all for chiming in. Live chat says Clarence says he's from Mississippi, so all of that seems accurate. Joe T says that's legit. Clarence Brown says he's a lefty. Yep, he sure was. And the story on that. But yeah, my granddaddy. So my granddaddy is the reason my Uncle Mac got into the blues. Okay. And like I said, for as long as I knew my granddaddy, this dude had one job. He was a mechanic at Chevrolet for as long as I lived, you know. And so this was some 30-something, 40-something years working, doing one damn thing. And he was the cool cat on the block there in upstate South Carolina. Everybody knew Mr. Leroy. Everybody. That was his name, Mr. Leroy, or WM. You know, and if you could see in this picture here, this is my grandfather here. You could see just from the way he's dressed there at this studio doing an interview with my uncle, talking about his career. And my uncle, you know, he did everything he could to make sure that my grandfather was a part of his journey, you know. So as his success grew, you know, and he's taking all of these tours, Pop was going on tour with him, you know. Just, you know, they'd hop on his little tour bus and they'd go. You know, it was really cool. But like I said, the love for music that my grandfather had, I definitely caught on to it. I could remember watching him play his guitar. He had an old electric guitar, left-handed, so it was strung. He would string it up differently, and it was a treat. And I could never quite wrap my head around the guitar the way he could. He would end up playing in church and just playing around the house or what have you. But he absolutely loved the music. And the story behind this guitar that my Uncle Mac has, he shared it here in this interview, and I was able to capture it. And I'm glad I captured it and saved it and backed it up, because you can't find it anymore, not even on my uncle's website. But I got it, and I'm going to play it for y'all to let you hear my granddaddy talking about this guitar.
Yeah, back in the 40s, after the war was over, the radio started playing music again. So I caught on with the music, and I said, I'm gonna make me a guitar. I saw some guitars, seen some guitars, but I didn't have nothing to buy them with. We was on the farm where we wore mud for shoe soles, you know, but we had a good time. So my dad had a little oil can there in the garage shed, and I stole it, cut me a hole in it, went to the window, pulled some screen off the windows and made me some strings out of them, took my little old 2x2 and made me a neck. And when I got ready to make it cry, I could take it and bend that neck here, just wow, wow, wow. And that's how I got started. So, and I couldn't lay it down anywhere. Mac would come along and get it. You know, he was one of those wall babies. He wouldn't let nothing be where you put it. So
I'm gonna pause there for a second. All right, so that's my granddaddy. That's Leroy Arnold, and I am so glad I saved that because I could still. It allows me the opportunity to still hear his voice. You know, he's been gone. I think it's coming up on 10 years now when he passed, and I think about that dude, and I think about my grandma a lot, and I can only imagine what my mom's feels. And there's just been a lot of times I wish I could still sit down and have some conversations with this old dude because he ain't like no other, man. Just hearing his voice and hearing that southern accent and hearing some of those colloquial shits that he used to say. I mean, he literally just started out talking about how poor they was, where they wore mud for soles on their shoes. You know, mud on their feet was the soles. You know, just crazy shit like that, man. Oh, it's good stuff. Okay.
Say, boy, don't move my guitar. He said, I ain't had it. I ain't had my hands on it. He was a little fella, and I want to whip him. But mother said, leave that boy alone. Don't whoop him. Let him play it. I said, Mama, he's going to tear it up. She said, you can get another one from somewhere. Just leave him alone. Let him play it. So here you are today playing the guitar. One of the designs like what I made back in the 40s.
So basically what we're saying is, if it wasn't for Leroy, Mac would be what? What would he be doing now? I mean, you were nice enough to allow him to play your guitar, and if you hadn't, what would have happened here? I mean,
he'd probably been somewhere trying to make cars or something like that. But see, he left the mule and took a little learning what he learned on the guitar and went to Chicago, you know, and all. But the good thing about it, he went all the way around the world and didn't do like he wanted to do, and had to come back home to do what he wanted to do. So I'm very proud of him. And as long as I'm living, I'm going to stick with him. So,
we're
Mac,
taking it, man.
I'm going to say this to my brother. I got my hat off to you. Play on, son. Play on.
Thank you, Leroy. Thank you, man.
Yeah, back in the 40s.
Man, I freaking love that story, man. Love that story. Oh. And watching that documentary earlier, you know, some of the other artists were talking about the blues, and they had this concern that, you know, with all of those cats in that generation were dying out, it's like, what's going to happen to the blues? You know, is it going to carry on in some of the history? Will they still be able to carry on the traditions and just the way that people did things back then? You know, when it came to that industry and the juke joints and stuff like that. And I think that it's still going. It's not as prominent, I'm sure, but I do believe that it's still going. I still get blues recommendations sent to me over Spotify here and there, you know, but I don't hear as many people talk about it now. You know, because again, it's just a big, huge generational gap as well as a regional gap. You know, it was, it's about like church music for some folks. Okay. You know, and let me rephrase that. It's about like black church, Southern Baptist music. Okay. A lot of those artists, that's where they started, and a lot of those artists, they party Friday and Saturday night at the juke joint and crawl into church Sunday morning and party again. You know, so it all sort of went hand in hand. And I don't know if it's like that now, but I like to think that, fortunately, you know, the legacy of people like B.B. King, you know, it's not going anywhere. Muddy Waters is not going anywhere. Uncle Mac is not going anywhere. We still have those archived. But I'm curious to know what's it like for the younger generation? Because a lot of the younger generation, they just don't listen to that. They'd rather rap, which is fine. But Man, the blues it's when you think about it again, and he said in the very beginning of that audio, things was different for black folks back in the 40s in the South. It was different. It was a whole different way of life and a whole different way of thinking and survival. And that music was a huge connection to that way of life, that some of us will never be able to relate to. You know what I'm saying? That's Pop, I miss you, man, but I'm so glad I got that. I am so glad I got that audio. Oh, man. Man. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. I'll put some links in the show notes for that. And feel free to shoot me a message if you have any thoughts on the blues and just music in general. Because, you can send a message to podcast@antpruitt.com. Because like I say, I listen to a little bit of everything. I'm cool with country. I'm cool with some country, because country music has changed too. I'm cool with hip hop. I'm cool with jazz and metal and pop, some pop. I'll listen to just about anything because I like the talent. I like seeing an artist just owning their craft and then just putting it out there, whether we like it or not. There's something about that, and I freaking love that. I love classical. I love Hans Zimmer and what he does, and Danny Elfman. Love that stuff, man. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this music thing. Podcast@antpruitt.com, and I'll be sure to check that out. Okay, so I'm going to cut this short and call this an episode. So thank y'all for being here this fine evening on Wednesday, especially hanging out there in the live chat. I see y'all. It's really, really nice for y'all to be here. Feel free to continue to tell other folks about the podcast, folks. Like I said, I still want to continue to push this thing, and I want to continue to do this and just turn it into a whole new empire, and continue to keep my family involved in this stuff, and just watch this stuff grow, man. I believe in it, and I'm fortunate to know that I've gotten some of these gigs here recently because they saw that I was on these mics and cameras right here. So yeah, man. So thank y'all. Please continue to tell other folks about the show. And if you have any comments, questions, you can send that feedback and questions in as well. Feel free to join the Patreon extended family for free if you want to. Patreon.com/AntPruitt to help support the show and everything that goes into that. We have used it to help pay a bill, or we've used it to put something into the show, be it pay the bill for like the website, or pay the bill for a piece of equipment or something that we needed or what have you. Every single bit of that has been used for helpful purposes, not for just splurging and going out partying. Nope. Every single dime of that has been used in a helpful manner, and I personally thank each and every one of you. All right. With that said, take a moment and do something good for yourself, because you earned it. It's been a long week, I'm sure. And we've already gotten out of the first quarter of the year. That's been a little stressful for people with the price of eggs being what they are and everything else being expensive. So take a moment to do something for yourself, something nice. And then take a moment to do something nice for someone else. And know that it's okay to love you some you. All right, folks. Y'all take care.